there was another album that dropped, and I believe it was called Xavier Prom Night or Graduation Day or
Gap Year.
Gap Year.
He's all over the place.
I'm all over the place, but we're talking about Laila here. Laila's Gap Year was an R&B soul album that dropped September 6th. We remember the freestyle. That's not my problem. That's one of my favorite freestyles that came out of that camp. I was about to say Rap Radar, but it's On the Radar.
Shout out, like me now.
I know, huh? Shout out On the Radar, but Laila and her rollout was something that I really appreciated as a fan. Like, I didn't know much about Laila, but I loved the freestyle that she did. There was a couple songs that she had popping on TikTok, so I didn't know much about her, but I appreciated what I was seeing. The picture of the Gap Year photo, I just saw different things on social media that I was like, okay, I'm anticipating this album. Like, this Laila album, I hope is going to be great. So I sent it to Xavier. I wanted us to review it. So what did you think about this Laila album, Gap Year?
So before I get it,
hold on. She's Mos Def's daughter. I'm sorry, I didn't.
I know. This is Yasin Bey's daughter, Mos Def, the
Right.
goat, my goat,
Right.
my goat, the only person I think that can rap better than Lupe Fiasco, my number one. We're gonna remove him from this right now.
Okay.
I do think this is a really good album.
Mm-hmm.
A tremendous amount of potential displayed with this project, but I think her being Mos Def's daughter is going to allow her to get away with this seeming like an unfinished project. I don't necessarily think, because this shit is 17 songs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the album.
That's the album.
I don't think this is a great debut project. This seems more like a mixtape. Still seems like she's very much trying to discover her sound, working on her penmanship, working on her production, working on her vocal abilities. I can still sense all the elements of a new artist in these 17 tracks. And I feel like a lot of these newer artists get hung up on the success of these TikTok songs and equate that to them being ready to produce a full-length album.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, let me know if I'm a hater down in the comments. But I feel like if I hate to tie like successful parents to their kids, especially when they're trying to go off on their own and do their own things.
Right.
Like Jaden Smith, well, who goes by Jaden for his music, that's one of my favorite newer artists. Very much a Kanye offspring as well. And when he does his, especially Willow, I'll take Willow over. Willow,
they're very creative kids.
Very creative kids. I love everything that they're doing with their music, and I would never want to say that their success is tied to their parents' success, because I feel like regardless they would make it to the point that they are right now. But I feel like with Laila being a new artist and putting out an unfinished project, she can only get away with that because who her dad is and what he's contributed to music. She'll always get a little bit of that slack.
Now, let me ask you this before you continue. Self-produced.
Yes. Yeah, I heard.
Everything was done by her in this album. So do you give her any slack for that?
No, I don't. Because you didn't have to drop it yet. I keep seeing people on Twitter like we're witnessing something special right now. Fully produced by her, written by her, performed by her. I get that. That is special to see. But listen to the song. There's multiple tracks on there where you can tell that she still needs to work on her vocal abilities as a singer.
1,000%.
There's multiple tracks on there where you can still tell she's not fully developed as a producer.
1,000%.
There's multiple tracks that you can tell she's not fully developed as a songwriter. A lot of the songs, most notably her most popular songs, That's Not My Problem and Like That, are very repetitive. And the parts that they're not repetitive, the lyricism is inconsistent in its quality. And I just feel like there's a lot of potential displayed in this album, and it could have potentially been a great, great debut album if she just held on to it a little bit longer and just worked out all those kinks.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think these artists get really hung up on the success of these TikTok songs when people are only really listening to that first minute. Like I always laugh at when Soul Illuminati dropped his album, that it was bad. But it got so many plays on TikTok. This man thought he was legit. But then he looks and realized that nobody listens past the first minute.
Mm-hmm.
Like, while Like That and No Problem are very catchy, the melody and the hook are there, it is extremely repetitive and it shows no depth. Even the songs where she does show depth as an artist, displaying her writing ability, the lyricism is just not there yet. And I just feel like she should have just held on to this a little bit longer until she was able to develop a little bit more. If she was really just like adamant about dropping a project right now, she could have gave us a remix to not like us, but she could have gave us a remix to
Problem.
Not My Problem or Like That, in
Right.
addition to maybe 3-4 songs that she did drop on here. Give us a mixtape.
Right.
Give us a nice little 6-pack. That would have, I feel like that would have been a lot more productive than giving us 17 tracks of unfinished music.
Okay. I 1000%.
I sound like a hater.
No. You sound legitimate, but that's this. I feel like that's just the state of music we're in now. We've had this conversation before. We've had this conversation kind of before this podcast. Now,
Right.
it's just the state of music we're in. But let's just say this for this scenario in this specific album, Gap Year. You took the glass half empty scenario, and I'm going to take the glass half full scenario on this. What she did on here, even though everything you said 1000% is right, I feel like lyrically she could grow, her voice could grow, production can grow. Potential that I heard on this album can potentially take her to heights and take her to superstardom. And this is the same thing that we saw about Four Bats. Like, your ear and what you're doing right now, you're on the right path to greatness, but just make sure you evolve with the genre and make sure you evolve with your sound, because that is the most important part. Don't settle for mediocrity.
And that's what happens when our number one artists are able to just consistently drop mediocre
And
music
fly by.
with still being the number one. These up and coming artists are just gonna follow suit. Like you said, very similar to the Four Bats album, which was still a really good project, but you can tell that he's still developing as an artist.
Right.
The album was very rushed. A lot of the songs, again, very repetitive. I would put Four Bats, what is it? You Made Me a Star. I would put that in the same category as I would put Gap Year by Laila. They both just feel like very amateur music. And that's unfortunate to say, because there's a tremendous amount of potential with both of these artists.
Right.
So I just feel like they could have gained so much more just by holding on to this a little bit longer, maybe giving us a shorter project, because even with Four Bats, You Made Me a Star was like 11 songs. That's a lot. You can give us a little mixtape with like 5-6 songs to really showcase who you are as an artist, especially if you're still developing, and we can tell you're still developing.
Right.
You give me 11 to 17 songs of development, nigga, I don't need that. Give me 6 well thought out quality tracks. Like, what are we doing right now? And I just don't want to see all these newer artists just think
Fall
it's
by the
okay
wayside.
to give me some unfinished music. Like,
'Cause you're not-
Kanye just did it too.
But you're not
Vulture
gonna-
2 was beyond unfinished.
Right, but you're not going to be the top echelon person, because your time will come and your time will go. The only reason why Kanye can do what he did is because Kanye did what he did. The only reason Drake could do what he does now is because he did what he did back then. You know what I'm saying? They still are legends in the game and have gave us great moments. So they're able to skate by, but you as a newer act, you're going to have to do X, Y, and Z because you can't just skate by. You'll just fall by the wayside.
But I feel like they're just not thinking about longevity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just keep wanting to think about Tizo, who is an older act, but is our rookie of the year. He didn't just come out here and start dropping a bunch of low quality music.
Mm-hmm.
He did his time and he dropped singles. He dropped music videos. Then when the hype was really there, he gave us a extremely well thought out, produced album that inevitably propelled him to a different level of stardom.
Right.
These artists are getting that same type and even more of attention because of social media, but then they give us low quality music, and it kind of just doesn't match the moment.
Right. So I want you to rate. We didn't do the rating schedule, but I'll ask you about that. But rate the Gap Year out of 10.
What I give Big Sean? I gave Big Sean a 6.5.
You gave Big Sean a 6.5.
That'd be crazy. I did say this was better than Big Sean. I'll give it a 7.
Okay. 7 out of 10. The Gap Year, I'm going to give it a 6 or 6.5 as well. I'm going to just go ahead and say 6.5. We hope Laila can evolve into one of those great artists going forward.
Well, and that's why I hate to be a hater, because there's no question that she's gonna evolve as an artist,
and that she's talented too.
and that there's no question that she's talented.
Right.
Like, there's an extreme amount of potential displayed in there. It's just, you can just tell she's still developing. So moving forward, I just hope she recognizes that there are elements of her artistry that she needs to work on, and the next project that we get from her, I hope it's a little bit more well thought out. I don't think Most was in that room when she released that. I feel like he would have said, hold on for about another month.
Right.
Let's work some things out.
Let's work some things out.
Let's just not rush things. Let's just not rush stuff no more.
Right.
Let's just not rush.
Right. And because he never rushes anything. But, yeah, you gave that a 7 out of 10. And shout out to her, and we wish her the best. And we know she's in good hands.
Oh, yeah, for sure.